Hi folks, and welcome to another episode of Careers and Coffee. I'm absolutely thrilled to be back. I feel like I've been off for ages, but in between that, you've seen some wonderful colleagues of mine, everyone from Madeline, Kaylee, Kieran, and also all of the folks behind the scenes do the technical wizardry that obviously my background superstar Josie usually does. So let's kick off with today's episode. So today I've got on a brilliant friend of mine, Pat Lewis, really inspiring, engaging. He's chairman of SourceOne Consulting, Life Electrical, SourceOne Associates. He's a mentor, does some amazing stuff across Suffolk and beyond. So let's bring on Pat to talk to us a little bit more about his career.
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you, pal?
Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. Not too bad at all, actually.
And are we enjoying lockdown 2.0?
Do you know what? I think you have to. I think you have to go with it, and that's the only thing you can do. Moaning isn't going to change it. I think you just got to, for want of a better word, embrace it, look at the opportunities that are there and how you can change your work and so on. But yeah, I'm fine. As I think we just got to get on with it until hopefully the vaccine's on its way, and let's just hope we can move on it at some point.
Oh, good advice, definitely good advice. And before we kick off with questions, have you got coffee? Most important part.
Coffee, and I've got as well.
You are organised, aren't you?
I know.
This is what I like. So, look, Pat, tell me a little bit about you, what you're currently up to. Elaborate a little bit more on some of those points that I was raising earlier.
Yeah, well, I've now involved in 4 businesses. So, SourceOne Consulting, which is the oldest one, which is 18 years old. Sort of this last month, really. That's the office fit out and office refurb company. A company called Like Electrical, which is sort of a spin-off from that is a commercial electricians. We've had that for probably just over 2 years now. And I also own SourceOne Associates, which is a sports management and talent business, which is a real passion of mine. Looking after sports people and young talent, and mentoring them, helping them out. And I've just yesterday become a co-owner of a clothing brand as well called Venus Lounge. So yeah, and alongside that, I'm obviously doing some stuff with Volunteering Matters. I'm one of their ambassadors for Youth Social Action, which is really exciting. I really enjoy that. And and also just involved in a new charity called the Kevin Beattie Foundation, which has been set up to help people various different issues, but it's all in the name of Kevin Beattie, who, as a lot of our older people will know, and hopefully younger, was probably Ipswich's greatest ever footballer. So lots going on, always lots going on.
But fair to say you're probably not sat in your office there twiddling your thumbs then day to day.
No, not really. No, it's quite it's always, I'm at that point, I'm at that age where I have to start writing lists of things to do with each different business. But I'm very lucky because with SourceOne Consulting that I set up years ago, I've got my wife and my stepdaughter and the staff that run that business on a day-to-day basis. And Like Electrical is very similar. I'm sort of chairman of the businesses, so I get involved. But no, they're being run, which is, and to be honest with you, they're brilliant. I would never complain anyway. Certainly not about my family. But man, they've taken it on another level, which I'm so impressed with and so happy with.
And so for you, what does an average day tend to look like?
I don't think there is an average day. I mean, pre-lockdowns, I'd be part of what I really enjoy is going out and meeting people. Meetings. I used to go to lots of events, lots of sports events in London and Manchester and so on. And that's where, I've met lots and lots of different people. And, obviously now Zoom calls, talking to people, which, I don't mind a Zoom call, but it's not for me. I'm old school,
It's not the same, is it?
No, I mean, my first ever job was knocking on office doors, selling pens and pencils and paper in the mid '80s, and that was about meeting different people every minute of every day, and I'm used to that, and I enjoy that, and it's but yeah, again, we are where we are, so we you have to get on with it. But yeah, lots of different things involved in lots of different days. Really, nothing's ever the same.
That sounds brilliant. Thank you. And yeah, let's rewind the clock a little bit back to when Pat was at school. What was school like for you? Where did you grow up? What was your pathway after that?
I grew up on Chantry Estate in Ipswich. Council house estate. My dad was a docker. Mum was was a housewife. My dad was an Irish docker. So back in the day, and to be fair, that was how it was. Earned a lot of money on the docks in those days. My dad was a drinker. Went to the pub every night after work. That was what it was like then, and you sort of grew up with that. But I went to Chantry Junior School. Great school. I think I was the last year in Suffolk to take the 11 plus, and I passed it, and then decided to go to Northgate Grammar School, which, to be fair, I probably must have only just scraped in, because there were some people who were an awful lot cleverer than I was. Or in those days with O levels, it was it was everything was about the exam at the end of the year. So you had nine exams at the end of the year, and you had to have a very good memory, and I didn't, unfortunately. So, but Northgate was a great school. It was a great school to be on your CV, at that age, certainly when you left school. And it was also a brilliant school for sport. I mean, I loved my sport. I played for the school football team, the hockey team, tennis, and then I adored my sport. And so yeah, it was a good school to go to. But I left with 2 A levels: English language and woodwork. Now, and I don't know how I passed my woodwork, because my practical was absolutely terrible in the exam. But 2 O levels, mate. And normally the thing at Northgate, when you went to Northgate, was you did your O levels, you went to sixth form, you went to uni. That was the path when you went to Northgate at grammar, and I didn't follow that path. I left school at 16, and I wasn't clever enough. Well, probably clever enough, probably not maybe the right word, but I certainly wasn't academic enough to go into sixth form. So I left and went into the world of work.
Brilliant, thank you for that. And I think it's probably fair to say, the area you grew up in, I think it's probably still got a bit of a reputation, even in 2020. What's your advice to those young people who may feel like the area that they're growing up in is gonna, that's what's going to be their life moving forward, and they want to change that? What's your advice to them?
I think the thing for me is don't let your current or your past sort of define your future. Weirdly enough, there is some, from my sort of age group, there is lots of people who have come out of there and been successful. And again, successful doesn't just mean about money or doing well at work, but there's a guy who was in the same year as me, who went to Chantry School. He went to the high school. He owns his own big software company. Another friend of mine who owns a branch of coffee shops all over near Bicester. He actually was a model when he left school. He was far too good looking, to be fair. He was a model, and he played for Norwich City as well. Norwich City and Crystal Palace. I mean, what more could you want as a young lad? But
he's doing all right.
He did all right, actually. Yeah, but again, it's not. Don't let where you are now define where you want to be and where you think you can be. There is, there's no barriers on that, and I think it also can help you, shape. If it's a hard place to grow up in, in the long run, it can help you with your personality be strong.
Excellent, thank you for that. And you talk about all the different businesses that you own at the moment and what you're involved in. At what point, and maybe was there a person who inspired you to go on and become an entrepreneur?
I think it was. I never ever thought I would be clever enough, or whatever word you want to use, to have my own business. When I was I worked for a couple of big corporates. Absolutely hated it. Learned a lot, but hated it. Couldn't deal with the sort of politics at work, and I didn't really like being told what to do either. So that wasn't a good thing either. But then worked for some small family businesses, say in office stationery, and office interiors, and there was a couple of people in my life when I went to work at Fison's when I was 16. Again, you might have heard of Fison's. It was a proper company in the back in the day. Worked in the post room, and there was a lady called Betty Rogers, who was probably late 50s. It was really sort of a big mentor for me. She taught me a lot about what to do at work, how to be with people at work, and I mean, if I didn't do the right thing, she put me in my place. And then a guy called Stan Johnson at Acorn Office Supplies. It was where my first sales job was, knocking on doors, and people, a couple of people who really sort of defined and helped me sort of be who I am. But got to probably mid-30s, I was working for a company in Ipswich and produced some results as I was asked to do. Was promised certain things, and as in life, not everybody's promises come to fruition. And I was 37, and I thought, you know what, I haven't got what I was told I was going to get. And I thought, I'll have a go on my own. So it was thrust upon me, really, to be fair, because I put my heart and soul into this position, helped grow a company, and really was sort of kicked in the teeth, really. So I'd lost all my heart for it, and I thought, well, what's the only thing to do is for me to go on my own. So I resigned, and borrowed £5,000 on a credit card, and started SourceOne Consulting, and that's the start. It was 18 years ago.
And what's it? Fast forward to now, and I know SourceOne's incredibly successful. And then what's it like being in sort of the office, sort of supply of office furniture and design in today's world, where people are maybe thinking, do I need an office? Has that been challenging?
It's interesting. When we first had, obviously, everything kicked off in March, I did have I'll be honest, I had 2 or 3 weeks of, wow, what is going to happen here? I've managed to sort of claw my way up and get to a position, and is that all going to go? But then you get over that, a couple of 3 weeks, and things sink in, and it's just opportunities. We've where people do keep their offices, they've got to be COVID safe. So you've got to have opportunities where companies want screens between desks and COVID safe equipment. So we've sort of moved into that a little bit. But also, for me, the biggest opportunity is when people do make a decision that they'll get rid of their office or have a smaller office, then there's opportunities there for us. And we are still as busy with certain things as we were this time last year. I mean, turnover's down. That's obvious. We've had a weird year, but it's the opportunities are still there. So it's challenging. But you just have to, again, get on with it, look at new ways, keep telling people who you are, keep telling people what you do. I think a lot of companies, and it is hard when you're looking at budgets and money, first thing to go is advertising and marketing. And for me, that's the last thing to go. You have to, if you want to survive, you've got to keep telling people who you are and what you do and how you do it. And we just continue with that. And we spent a lot of years investing in our website and our SEO and everything, and that's paying off, and it always will pay off.
That's great. I think that's just brilliant advice overall in terms of businesses as well, Pat. You need to be thinking about all of the different avenues and solutions you can go down. And I think, if anything, hopefully this time next year when we will be back in, I think we want it so much. For the folks at home who are around kitchen tables and just spare rooms, all that sort of stuff. You crave that sort of office banter and environment that you can go back to in those conversations, those sort of water cooler chats and stuff.
I think my personal opinion on that is, you obviously, people have been put, the office is dead, the office is dead. It may well be for a little while, and people might be working from home till early next year. But, to be blunt, you've got lots and lots of office space, lots and lots of buildings that are owned by pension funds, by individuals, by corporations. They need their rent. These offices will, I think, come back in some way, shape, or form. And with social animals, I've been talking to people whose children have started work or their first job, and they're working from home. And we need we're social animals, aren't we? As I said, we need social interaction with people, and the office is one of the major places where you get that.
Definitely, I can definitely agree with you on that. And yeah, I wanted to talking about sort of businesses and sort of the office environment as well. I know that your daughter's sort of going through the ranks in the business at
Yes,
the
he
moment,
is.
and I'm sure there's sort of a brilliant training program there as well for and support. How important is it to you that we are keeping an eye on young people coming through the business to sort of a ton of pipeline? How important is that to you?
I think I think I use Chloe as an example. I mean, Chloe went to school, did her A levels, and always said that she didn't want to go to uni. That wasn't her path. She always wanted to come and work in the family business, and she's done that. She's 3 years now. I mean, she's 21 now, and she's absolutely storming it. I mean, obviously, she's working with her mum, so she's learning good habits. She's learning how we do things as a business, but she's grown up with it as well. I think since since she was 9, 10, she's been hearing things, listening, picking stuff up, probably without even realising about how we work as a business and our ethics and about doing things the right way. And sometimes doing things the right way doesn't make you the most money, but that doesn't matter. You do things the right way, and you get the respect for your clients, you get a reputation, and that rolls on and rolls on and rolls on. And eventually, that all comes back again. So, she's just had a new company car, bless her, and she's doing really, really well. I think and she's got some great ideas. I mean, I'm an old duffer now, and they. Chloe's come through, but some of the stuff that she did in her business A level, and I'm being honest, I haven't got a clue what it is. I mean, they're learning stuff that I don't even know, and you can't, you have to let younger people come through with new ideas, new visions, new thoughts on how to do things. And I think if you don't allow that, you become very stale as a business and you don't go forward. And if you don't go forward, you end up going backwards as a business. So, it's, and hopefully, in a few years' time, she'll be running that business, and I think she's more than capable of doing that. Again, well, obviously with a stepdad in the background, but it's
you'll have be up retirement, be fine.
I know. But it's good to see. It's really good to see, and from some of my work I've been doing at Volunteering Matters. There's some real good young people who have got some real good ideas about how the world should be, how the world should be shaped, how this country should be, and they really should have a voice, and you can't keep doing things the old way. Some of the old ways are good, and some of the basic old ways are still good that I will still live by, but you have to accept new ideas. You have to.
That's brilliant advice. Now, I want to come back to that sort of volunteering matters and sort of youth social action piece a bit. I want to come on to this question we've just got in for you. So, what do you see as the benefits and differences of a family business to a traditional corporation?
Family business has obviously got its good points and bad points. I mean, a traditional corporation, you don't really have that personal connection with people, which can be difficult sometimes. You live with the people you work with. It's hard to switch off. It's hard to, you don't have that 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 5:30 when you go out the door at the office and you go home and you relax. You've got the people you work with. I mean, Chloe's just about completing on buying her first house, so she won't be here so much. But it's difficult, but also you've got that tightness. That everybody is in that same boat. We're all pushing for the same thing, and to keep that family business going. Again, having worked for a traditional corporation a couple of times, I worked for Manpower, the recruitment people in the 90s, big American recruitment company. For me, difficult. I mean, for me, it was a lot of sort of, people trying to get to a position in the company, and perhaps, again, from what I experienced, perhaps crawling over people to get there. And it's a lot of politics about, who did this and who doesn't do that. and also I think it's, from my experiences, again, and only my experience, sometimes in corporations people are scared to make decisions because perhaps if they make the wrong one, they could get in trouble, or they get the sack from their boss, or they get grief or whatever. Whereas, in the family business, not every decision we make is right, and certainly at the start, you make decisions, some work, some don't. If they don't work, they're not going to work. So at least you've made a decision and took a punt on it. But for me, I think the smaller family businesses are always the way to go. I mean, again, a lot of the large corporations will probably come from small family businesses, just like Marks and Spencers and things like that. So for me, family businesses are the way to go. But on the other side, go and work in a corporation, learn. I mean, I learned a lot from when I was working at Manpower, an awful lot about people and about methods of working. So it has its values.
I suppose you can take some of those bad points and think, well, I'm definitely not going to replicate that in my business.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's spot on there. You talk a little bit more about Volunteer Matters. I know previously you were a Grand Mentor, and you mentioned you're an ambassador there on some youth social action projects. Talk to us a little bit more about that.
Well, I got to know Stephen Skeet, who actually Stephen's a big Ipswich Town fan, as I am. So we had that sort of link. And Stephen's sort of one of the directors at Volunteer Matters, and asked me if initially I'd get involved in the Grand Mentor scheme, which I really enjoyed. That's people over 50. I know you say, look, how did you get involved in that, Pat? Because obviously,
I wasn't going to say, don't look at over 30.
Yeah, but I got involved in that, and then I'm now involved as an ambassador for the Youth Social Action Programme, and also there's a couple of really amazing projects that if people get a chance to have a look on their website and have a look at. One is What's Up, and that's Women Against Sexual Exploitation, and that project was founded in Ipswich. They've got an amazing team of individuals who some really, really powerful work, and that is now being spread out now into London, where other branches of Volunteer Matters have taken that sort of toolkit on to help young women. And as that was such a success, they've now done it for young men as well. And I don't know if this is a coincidence or whatever, but they've called that program We Are Patrick, which is really interesting because, again, that's about young lads who have had issues in the past, were at home, and again, I've got no problem. So I came from a violent childhood. So I've experienced that. I know what it's like. And I go in and I'll talk to these young adults about, I've been there, I know what it's like. And I think for me, that's really good because they can buy into me and start to trust me because I know what they've been through. And it's really about helping these young men and these young women who want to succeed in life. And again, that succeeding isn't just about, be on an Instagram, having a pair of, Gucci trainers and about, having the fastest car, to some people just, I think I listened to when Bobby Ball, the comedian, died the other day, and his sons were on TV, and his dad, Bobby Ball, said his meaning of success was paying his mortgage. And for that, success means different things to different people, doesn't it? And everybody can be successful in their own way, and just helping these people through, and talking to them. And if they can find someone that has been there, or can listen to them and understand them and trust and trust them, that's the thing. There's so much confidence. They need a lot of confidence, but there's so much ability in those young people. They just need a hand and need a help and a bit of luck.
That's astonishing. If you're a young person either watching this now or in the future, how would someone get involved in that project?
You need to contact Volunteer Matters, Stephen Skeet, or contact me. So I'm obviously on Facebook, Twitter, and so on. And we can sort of put you in the right direction. But it's an amazing charity. Those two projects are very, very powerful projects, and they've been picked up, say, by a lot of councils in London, and they're going to be spread through hopefully they'll go countrywide at some point, but they need to because they're amazing.
Awesome, thank you, Pat. And yeah, I want to talk about another one of your roles as well. So SourceOne Associates. Now, I know you are a huge sports fan. Any sport, you're all over it. Now, SourceOne Associates is, I suppose, it's fair to sort of say talent management into the sports industry. Tell us a little bit more about that and how you found it.
It's weird actually, because I'd say the last sort of 2 or 3 years, when before obviously lockdown, I got invited. I was helping a guy called Nick Compton. Now Nick played cricket for England and Middlesex. Lovely guy, Nick, and I was asked to be on his benefit year committee, which I obviously accepted. And we were in London one day just discussing stuff for the committee, and he said to me, "What are you doing next Tuesday?" I said, "Well, not a lot. I've got bits and pieces planned." He said, "Come to a lunch with me in Mayfair." He said, "We've got Andrew Strauss speaking." I said, "You know what? I fancy that." So anyway, went to this lunch. Brilliant. Andrew Strauss was on stage. About 50, 60 people. It was at the London Sporting Club. It's quite a small and exclusive event. The doors are shut. There's no tweeting. There's none of this. It is sort of Chatham House rules. What's said stays in the room. And I sat next to Nick, and I was there, and Greg Searle, the Olympic rower, was sitting next to me. Had a brilliant day. Spoke to Greg Searle, and I thought, I fancy some of this. This is good. I'm meeting people, and I got asked if I wanted to join the club. So I thought, here we go. It's going to be like a ridiculous amount of money to join, and it wasn't. So I thought, what? Yeah, I'm going to go for it. And I've been to most of the lunches in London and Manchester. I met some amazing people involved in sports people, and people involved in the business of sport. Which there is a massive area around sport of business. And met some great people and made some really, really good friends. I've had some fun, which again is very important. And over that period, last summer, not one just gone, one before, 18 months ago, Nick asked me if I could help him with some of his own sort of life stuff, and then was approached by another athlete who I'd met at one of these events, a guy called David Smith, MBE, who is an absolute, this guy's a legend. He was an Olympic rower. He then contracted cancer of the spine. He's had cancer 4 or 5 times. Still come back. Paralympic rower, Paralympic cyclist. He's now in Jamaica trying to set up some Jamaican cycling. And he said that I just need some help sort of on the commercial side. And I thought, what? I love people. I love my sport. There's a nice little business here. But the thing for me was to, and Nick retired to sort of to health issues, but I'm very big on my mental health. And from a lot of people, sports people I've met, there was a real need for sports people to be looked after. They're normal people at the end of the day. They have the same issues as we have during the day, the same grief, the same problems. They're just very, very good at something. Good at sport, great at sport, brilliant at sport. So I thought it's a way of helping them and giving them a support network so they can concentrate on what they're doing. And I think there was a gap in the market for most sports. There is a conception of sports agents in the world, that all they're after is people's money and sports people's money and talent's money. And of course they have to make a living. That's was reasonable. But I thought there's a different way of doing this. So we've set the business up. We've got our clients, and which we always have to take to look at more. But the clients are some sporting underdogs, some different types of sports people. But below them is a support network of experts in the field of sport and mental health. So we all have down days, or we get fed up. We need to talk to someone. So if you're a sportsman having those issues, you can talk to one of our panel of experts. For instance, we've got Gail Ems, who was the world mixed badminton champion. Gail's been at the top of her sport, knows what it needs to be a world champion. So she's been talking with one of our clients, and we've got one of our clients is a guy called Jack Keithley, who's one of the best esports drivers in the world. He's we've got some information coming out about this soon, actually, but he's been having sessions with Mike Nichols, who's one of our panel of experts, and they're talking to each other, they're conversing. Mike's helping Jack, and that's what I want to happen. The business is working that way, where you're putting people together who need each other, and that was the sort of premise of it, really. And I am lucky, you know. I get paid by my other businesses, so this was done not with making money in mind. It was done with doing the right thing, and you know, of course, you know, one day it needs to make money, but we're looking at helping our clients getting commercial deals, you know, representation for certain brands, and so on and so on. But again, you do things the right way at the start, those things will happen in the future, and they're starting to happen now. You know, we've got a couple of some blogs coming out soon, some news about a couple of deals that we've done for.
Sounds fantastic,
mate. Seriously, I love it. It's so interesting, and you meet some great people, and it's again with, you know, you can help my clients. You know, a lot of them are younger people who need a bit of mentoring, and you know, who sometimes just want to shout out. And I'm saying, look, you know, give me a shout. That's what I'm here for. I'm your agent. I'm your manager. I'll help you. You know, we talk about it. We'll discuss it. It's good, and it's just the start, really. I mean, COVID has sort of slowed it down, but sort of hasn't, because it's given us time to get the things in place. You know, the sort of base level of where we want to be as a business. So and you know, I never knew 3 years ago, when I went for a cup of coffee with Nick Compton in London, that I'd have my own sports business.
Well, I think, you know, just through the power of networking and, you know, putting yourself out there, making sure you are, you know, engaging with lots and lots of interesting folks, I think you're then able to get there. But I want to ask you one final question, because I know we're slightly running over. So 30 seconds or less, if you were to sort of rewind the clock and tell 15-year-old Pat some advice for his future, what would it be?
It would be, you never know who you might meet and where that can take you, and what doors that can open. That's the one bit of advice.
Like it, loving it. Pat, thank you so much for coming
Cheers.
on Coffee. As always, it's a pleasure.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Good stuff. Cheers, pal. So folks, that was Pat Lewis. Too many titles to remember. Chairman of SourceOne Associates, doing some amazing stuff across Suffolk. Really, really fantastic guy. So huge thanks for coming on today, Pat. As always, there's a survey within our description below, so do click on that. Help myself and the rest of the team think about the sort of guests that you want on Careers and Coffee in the future. So that was today's session. On Thursday, we're back again. We'll be having Alan Nichols from the Money and Pension Service talking to us, as it is National Talk About Money Week, and it's making sure that all young people, everybody, is talking about finances and money and budgets and savings. So tune in on Thursday, 12:30 to 1 to see us again for Careers and Coffee.